Hi, and welcome back to Inspired to Game. I'm Lola, and this is my Tabletop Ramblings. Today I am talking about my top 10 favorite games of all time. At least currently, because these things change. Now, you may remember I did a video about a month ago or so about top 10 games I would keep in my collection if I could only keep 10. Now, this is significantly different because that was a curated mini collection. So it was meant to be well-rounded and games that I really liked, but wasn't necessarily my absolute favorites. So if you took a look at that video, you might have noticed that I went on and on and on and on and on, and I actually listed considerably more than 10 games, and I'm going to try not to do that this time. So we'll try our best. If you do want to take a look at that video, I'll have a link to it up here. In the meantime, without further ado, here are my top 10 games currently of all time. Tied in 10th place is Nemesis Lockdown and Pursuit of Happiness. Two very different games, you might argue. Both have recently come into our collection, so Nemesis Lockdown was our anniversary present, and it is exciting. So each game we've played of it so far has been an epic experience, an epic adventure. You gotta play it with the knowledge that you're likely to die probably a horrible death. Pursuit of Happiness, you will wind up being dead in the end as well, but through the course of that game, you will be living an extraordinary life that you get to mold in really remarkable ways. There's some nice strategy to it, and it's always really fun to see what stories you create. I think that's my favorite thing about it, creating epic stories. Number 9 is Viticulture. Now, Viticulture is an old favorite of mine. This was a game that captured my imagination right from the very beginning. It has a nice element of worker placement. It's got some great strategy to it, and I've always loved the little clear bulbs to represent your wine that you use as you're growing it and then turning it into wine to sell. So the theme is lovely, and I've always found it a really engaging and exciting game to play. To be honest, I have not played this game in probably well over a year, but it hasn't left my list yet because it's still one that I love. I love campaign games. Now, some of my favorites have been Gloomhaven. That was on my top 10 for the longest time. We also enjoy Journeys into Middle-earth as well as ISS Vanguard. But there's something about Artisans of Splendent Vale that really captured my imagination, and there's something so unique about what it does. If you're curious to know more, I will put up a video link up there and you can check it out. But as far as for a campaign game, this one is now on my top 10 list. Terraforming Mars is one of my perennial favorites. This has been on my top 10 for a very long time, and I fully admit I have not played this in forever. But whenever it does get back to the table, I always love it. I love the theme, I love the cards, the card drafting, I love the mechanisms, I love the tile laying, I love the strategy of it, as I find that it can be quite complex, and it's so exciting pulling in the end game. So as far as things stand now, it is still on my top 10 list. Next on the list is Azul, the quintessential abstract strategy game. This is really just one game in different boxes that play separately on their own. That said, if you could only pick one, my pick would be Queen's Garden. It is the crunchiest, thinkiest of the lot. The darling of 2022, Ark Nova was declared the game of the year by so many different sources, and before I had a chance to play it, I thought, it's hype. I expected it to be hype, but when I played it, I absolutely fell in love with it and found it utterly brilliant and very satisfying to play. It is thinky. I love the combinations of everything. It has a nice aspect of tiling for it too, and I especially love the unique scoring mechanism of the two tracks going in opposing directions. One thing I really love is deduction games. So this is a newer one to us as well, Search for Planet X. It is a deduction game where you work alongside whoever you're playing and try to find the missing supposed planet that may or may not be in our solar system. I find deduction games very satisfying. It's fun to figure things out. It's fun to logic my way through it. Other deduction games of note that I really enjoy include Tuanaku, as well as Turing Machine. I find Search for Planet X particularly exciting though, and I love the theme. Another type of game that I really love is a polyomino game, where you're putting tiles together like as in Tetris. My favorite one of these is now Planet Unknown. So this is also another terraforming planet situations. You each have a planet and you're putting on tiles that you get to work from, drawn from a Lazy Susan. What's extra fun about this too is there's multiple tracks that you can score up on, and you get to move around a little rover. Bitoku is another game that has been on my top 10 list for a very long time. I love the combination of the beautiful nature element combined with spirituality and a nice crunchy, thinky package. This is a fantastic game to play. It is one that I admit I have also not played in a very long time, but I love it enough that its place on my top 10 list has not been supplanted. My number one game is On Mars. More space, more terraforming, more of the red planet apparently. I like that. Vita Lacerda's games are some of my favorite games. He's one of my favorite game designers. I have not met a game of his yet that I haven't loved. This is my top of his of all. And I'm not sure if it's just because of the theme. I think it's also I really love the way that it plays. It's exciting, it's fun, it keeps you engaged for all 3 hours of your gameplay. So there you have it, folks. There are my top 10 or so current favorite games of all time. This list does change regularly. Now, I would love to hear what of these games do you enjoy? Which are your favorites? And if it's none of these, what are your favorites in general? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear it. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this at all, giving us a sub would be a wonderful benefit to us, and we would be ever so grateful and appreciative. And as always, happy gaming, folks.